Welcome to the Mental Funny Bone, a podcast where mental health meets humor, heart, and a healthy dose of laughter, where we talk about the tough stuff, laugh at the awkward stuff, and remind you and ourselves that it's okay to not be okay. Settle in, take a breath, and let's normalize the mess, one ridiculous story and real conversation at a time. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Christine, and neither of us are mental health professionals, but you should get yourself to a mental health professional. It does make a world of difference. Shoot, I have a mental health professional appointment tomorrow. Excellent.
Oh, fantastic. And check out the links in our show notes. And if you need to, from your cellular telephone, dial 988.
Reach out for help. People like it when you reach out for help.
If it's not an emergency and you just want to chat with us, feel free to send us an email at gastergirls@gmail.com.
We're always happy to take the feedback. I got a feedback text today.
Oh, I got some feedback too, but you go first.
So my friend Elaine sent me a text. First, bless you. She sent me a text yesterday to let me know that the Pope had passed.
Yeah, we can't talk about it yet. You got to leave it right there, and then we'll get Pope has got to have its own segment this week.
Its own segment. Got it. Okay.
We're still in fan mail, so keep going.
But then she must have listened to a couple of episodes and she's, you need a new job.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, just to let you guys know, I'm fine. I am a whiny crybaby, in case it wasn't clear. I'm a whiny
that's
crybaby.
Not nice. That's not what you should be doing. You should not be putting yourself down. What you should be doing is say that you're working through it and doing what you need to do, which would be find a new job or just finish the project you were working on. So that's cool.
Right. Project over. I don't know, Sarah, if you've noticed any difference between last week and this week. But
yeah, if that whole thing happens again, we're going to break up.
You can't break up with me. We're blood.
I could.
Right. You can't. You can't.
I feel like I can.
You can just, you'll be shitty to me. I can totally picture it like this aura of disappointment about you.
It'll be fantastic. So much better than actually breaking up.
Just bring me around and be like,
I can't even. Okay.
All right, that's it. That's my fan mail. Also, I think I need more Botox. I haven't done it in a while, and I think I'm going to go back and get some more.
I don't really see that much of it. I don't really see the difference the Botox makes.
That's because you look at my soul.
Exactly. Like I really like people tell me and I'm like, wow, yeah, everything looks real smooth. But I feel like it looked smooth before. I don't know. Again, like the people looking at you do not see what, but if the Botox makes you feel better and you can afford it, go for it. Get your face all needled up. Don't do anything with your lips though. Please don't do anything with your lips. That's all I ask.
My lips are so small that they wouldn't even be able to find where to put the, like, they're like, we can't.
They would find them and then they would turn out like, what is the commercial that now has Jason Bateman in it? Shit, never mind. We're going to go ahead and go right past it. He ends up with big puffy lips. No, he ends up with big puffy lips in the commercial.
Is it for Botox?
No.
Is it for fillers?
I think it's for insurance. I don't know.
Is he turning into his parents?
When you call for Batman and you get Bateman and then he gets chained up by Poison Ivy, I think. And then she kisses him and then at one point, I've never actually watched the whole thing happen.
But it sounds like you've watched the commercial a couple of times.
I've listened to it.
Okay.
And yeah. So it ends with him realizing that she's Poison Ivy and his lips are all swollen. Be like, that makes sense. Anyway. Okay. All right. So I heard from a few people, and nothing like major or earth shattering, but I still want to mention a few people. Shannon was super excited to listen to Moister Than an Oyster and hear herself mentioned. So
nice.
She sent me a text and said, you mentioned me in the podcast. I just listened to Moister Than an Oyster.
Then, stop saying it.
Another one, Shannon's husband, is now also listening. And he reached out to me about, I think it was yesterday. He listened to the last 2 episodes and he asked what happened with the sound quality on the last one. And I was like, oh, that was the Sam interview. And I feel like I didn't think it was bad at the time, and I still don't think it was that bad. But when we have guests on, we're going to need to figure out, I think the headphones and the microphone make a difference.
Yes, the headphones and the microphone make a big difference. So guests will need headphones at the very least.
I mean, I feel like we're not going to require that.
I'm going to be a stickler. I'm going to be a stickler.
Just so Chad will be happy. There you go, Chad.
See?
That's what happens. It's what happens when you give us feedback. We
We
tell you to
take
stuff it
action. No,
or ignore you.
we
You know what? We're going to do whatever our interview person does because we're happy to have them.
generally just excited other people want to hang out with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next, I heard from Lori and her husband, Bobby. They're both listening now. And Lori said, I love your podcast voice. I said, it's about time that manly smoker ass voice paid off.
God damn it.
She said, I love your smoker's voice. So, yay, Lori, keep listening. Bobby, keep listening too. There's more I wanted to say there, but I'm not. So, the next one, we heard from Rick in the email. I'm assuming you haven't looked at the email in 10 weeks, but Rick sent us an email with some logos in it.
Stop it.
And there's a bunch of them. And there's one that says the mental funny bone. It's supposed to be hard. Did we talk about this tagline already?
No.
Okay.
We
I
might
couldn't
have.
remember, but I feel like that's it, man. That's it.
I want a t-shirt. I've never wanted a t-shirt more than I want a t-shirt that says it's supposed to be hard.
Yeah. I feel like that's where we're going to go. So Rick will be reaching out to you to give you some feedback on the logo. Loving it. There's 9 pages of logo stuff. It's very fun. So you could check that out at your convenience, Christy.
So excited. I don't know if I can not look at it during the podcast.
Easter. Let's talk about the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the weekend.
Let's talk about Easter real quick. Do we need to talk about Easter? Or do we just want to go straight to Pope?
We had ham, and then
I'm still eating a lot of ham. There's a lot of ham.
I had a bad bellyache, and I think it might have been kielbasa related.
I've eaten a lot of kielbasa.
I don't
haven't
know.
shit myself yet.
Ooh, it was a close thing. But in true me fashion, I went back into those leftovers and just ate them.
Oh, damn, you did. And we're not quitters.
I was like, it's obviously this food.
But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep eating it. It's fine.
But this food was really tasty.
It only hurt for a little while. It's okay. I was only sweat through one pair of clothes. It's fine.
Homer Simpson with that giant hoagie where he eats so much rotten food that he hallucinates. You have to look it up.
Oh, God. I'm crying. Anytime we can reference Homer Simpson makes me super happy.
How did Owen enjoy his gift? He has a giant Homer Simpson t-shirt now because I bought it for your dad. And it doesn't fit him because his round belly.
He loved that though. He loves the t-shirt. So we actually ended up going to the driving range after you guys left because it was so nice and I wasn't quite ready to go to bed. I think Noah was. I think Noah was a little disappointed that I was like, let's go to the driving range.
No,
he was
5
like,
o'clock.
He held his wine. He was like, I can't drive. I was like, well, good thing I'm here. So yes, we went to the driving range. And we were getting ready to leave. And Owen, I don't know what he was wearing. Was he wearing that? Oh, if you ain't first, you're last shirt.
Right,
Ricky Bobby shirt. Has a hole in it. Like he looks like trash. And I was like, Owen, you got to change your fucking shirt. So what's he do? Because he's brilliant. And why would he go into his bedroom and find anything? He reaches into that bag that Nutty brought out with t-shirts, throws on his Ocean Isle t-shirt. And I was like, that fits you really nicely. You look good. Okay. Nice. Yeah. And speaking of the driving range, that is how out of shape I am.
Did you get winded?
I hit 10 balls. I do have a good swing. I'll tell you that. When I connect, even if I don't connect, it looks good. But when I connect, it looks really good. But there are several times where I won't even hit the ball. But anyway, my upper body still hurts. That was Sunday. Maybe 15 balls at the most. But yeah, I was like, wow, I'm going to be real sore. So yeah, I'm sore here, sore. So
I am enjoying our accountability texts so that we can avoid getting sore at the golfing range.
Yeah, we're getting back into that. It's time for change and consistency. And so we woke up early this morning, texted each other. I put my workout pants on backwards. I didn't realize until I was walking on the treadmill and I was like, wow, this is weird. And then I like wiped my hands down the back of my legs and felt the Under Armour emblem on the back. And I was like, ooh, these are on the wrong way.
I did that thing where I sat in the parking lot of the yoga studio for 5 minutes, working up the courage to go into the yoga studio.
Because you have to admit that you haven't been there in 10 years.
And I have to be like, okay, no one cares.
No one gives a shit.
Again, we go back
that you're there.
Right. There, I'm going to go back to the tenant. The guiding light principle of our podcast is that nobody gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. Nope.
So
Zero
there I
shit.
was. Yep. Grabbing my little yoga mat and heading on in. My rear end is sore.
I feel like that's wait till tomorrow. It's always sore like 1 or 2 days after.
And because I'm bad at keeping a calendar, sometimes I scheduled this morning's yoga session like a week and a half ago. I was like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go. And then yesterday, getting ready to find a place to take your mom to yoga, someplace
Yeah.
closer, so we won't have to drive so far.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to California and go to yoga in California. But I signed up for a class there tonight.
Oh, fun.
Now I have
So you're in a double yoga. I feel like
two
that's
yoga
great for you though.
classes. Is it? I don't know.
I think so.
The more
Yeah.
breathing and focusing on my breath that I can do, the better off I think I'm going to feel. There got to be a point in the yoga, like 50 minutes into it, where I was like, yes, this is awesome. I
Yeah.
was like, this is amazing. Now I remember why I do this.
Yeah. I had a great date, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel
Sorry,
like,
Becca. Becca didn't have a
yeah,
good
sorry,
day.
Becky had Becky.
Becky.
And then I called her Becky and made it fucking worse.
She's crying right now. You
Right.
can't hear her
She's
because we put her on
crying
mute, but she's
hysterically.
crying. There it is. There it is.
Shut your hole.
Stop calling her
Oh, sh-
Becky.
Sorry, Becca. Becca had a shit day. I
Yeah, but we had
apologize to
amazing
Becky's team,
days.
but I had a great day. I need to get up 10 minutes, just 10 minutes earlier to make it all work exactly the way I want to. But it worked out like I ended up just being 5 minutes later than I wanted to sitting down at my desk. But I took my time. Like I did not rush at all. And I think that's like the major difference. Like I've been getting up and getting on the treadmill, but I've been rushing through all of it, like doing 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes, doing 5 minutes of meditation instead of 10 minutes. So I did all the stuff. I did all the stuff this morning.
You will
And
be surprised to hear that I was pulling into the parking lot just as the nice lady was standing at the doorway. So then I needed my 5 minutes to get my shit together. And she was like peeking out. She's, are you gonna? And I was like, hey, Nikki. And she was like, oh, it's so nice to see you. And I was like, it's 5:30.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Get back into it. And like I said this morning, consistency. We just have to do it.
Consistency.
Plus,
Plus,
like Noah was leaving this morning. He was like, "You're gonna wake up the dog. What are you gonna do?" Because normally I just let Macho do his thing. I said, "No, I'm waking up the dog. I'm done with my workout. I'm waking up the dog. We're gonna go for a little walk, just down the driveway, because that's as far as his little legs can go, or as far as I've trained him to go."
You're done, right,
And
buddy?
yeah, gotta go back. Gotta go back now. Meanwhile, he's, we please go longer. No, mommy's
No
gotta
dogs
work.
like that.
But yeah, so it's gonna be a routine time for Macho too.
Yay. Yay, I like it.
So
I like it.
he should
You
be
know what?
exhausted.
You know what helps us? I bet if we read a book called Atomic Habits, we would be better at building habits.
It's
Yep.
amazing. It is amazing.
Yep.
I think no number of books will ever make it just be easy. It's just not. It's not going to happen. We're going to do this consistently over and over again. Maybe it will be a little bit easier because we at least can go back to that real quick and be like, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing.
It's supposed to be hard.
Yeah. And it is. It really fucking is sometimes. All right. You want to talk about the Pope?
I would love to.
Here's what I was hoping. I really wanted to get on this call with you, and I wanted you to give me the rundown. I am really hoping that you came prepared.
Let me pull up my notes.
Give me the rundown of what is going on. Now, I know the Pope died. There you go. I do love it that he died the day after Easter. He did his last thing on Easter, and I feel like that's I love that. I do love that.
Yes.
So I thought that
very
was
cool.
great.
I'm
but
trying
I
to find my
haven't
notes.
really, I've just listened to my peeps on Good Morning America, James Longman. He did some reporting. And Michael Strahan, he's over there right now, wherever they are. The
Michael
Vatican.
Strahan is with the Pope?
He's at the
Did
Vatican.
Where is JD Vance right now? Because I want to talk about that.
Yes, okay, I'm done talking. You talk. I might, when you bring up JD Vance again, I might have something to say, but go ahead.
Did you, this is a bit besides the point. This is off topic. Did you see JD Vance break that sports statue? Or some people would call it the trophy?
First of all, let's recognize the EU. What did you call it? The sports? What?
statue. Sports statue.
It's almost as though you've never played a sport in your life.
Right, like I wasn't an athlete.
Hey, let's make fun of JD Vance, and then I'll say something like sports statue. In our defense, that's probably what he fucking calls it too. It's fine.
They handed it to him and he tried to put it back together. Did
Yeah,
somebody
there was
is
a lot
somebody
of
fucking with
fumbling.
them? If you guys haven't seen it, regardless of where your political affiliations,
It's freaking spectacular. It's
it's
amazing.
just funny to watch a grown man try to act like he
Yeah.
didn't break a
The sports
trophy.
statue. It's amazing. And I don't know, just his reaction and everybody like stumbling around.
Right. And everyone's trying to help him. It's okay. It's all right. I
And you
mean, they
could
give
see,
it
like in some of their faces in the background, they're like, oh fuck.
like this guy. Jesus.
And again, I say, this fucking guy.
Dude, it's not like we worked really hard and dedicated our entire lives up until this point to get that. Feel
Becca's
free to
playing it right
destroy
now.
it.
Becca's playing it right now. But it's the best. It is
Oh my
the
God.
best. It makes me so happy.
Hilarious.
Okay. All right. I'm done crying. All right.
Okay, the Pope.
Back to the Pope. The Pope.
Okay,
What do they call the Pope? The pontiff?
he's a pontiff. Yeah, he's a
Okay.
pontiff.
Okay.
So
Pontiff.
if the Pope dies, or
He did.
he can also resign, and that kind of triggers the same process. Because
I
you'll
thought
remember
you were going to say rise. I thought you were going to say he could rise like
Right.
Jesus. I was like,
no,
whoa,
no. That's why we have to have a new Pope.
Okay,
It's
go ahead.
and this process is
No,
called
this is great. I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you for the 80th time, and I promise it won't be the last. This is great to hear. This is great to hear, though, because I honestly today was thinking, what happens if the Pope just gets too old? Like, can they step down? So yeah, they can. Okay.
They can resign.
Okay.
Oh, the one guy was like, yeah, I'm totally in. I want to be Pope. You remember he was like Pope for 4 days and he was like, ugh, I don't like it.
Which one was? I don't remember.
Benedict the
I was gonna say that,
XVI.
too. He
Benedict
was
the
Pope for just
XVI.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he resigned. And what that does is it kicks off a papal conclave.
A what?
Papal
Papal.
papal conclave.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's the process by which they select the new pope. When
Okay.
the pope dies, there's a period of mourning called I went to Catholic school.
November
There's-
Dialis.
The Dialis. There's 9 days of mourning that happen, and they start making a lot of phone calls and sending a bunch of text messages around to the guys who are in the running, like the popular cardinals. And they're like, dude, we're picking a new leader. So if you want to show up, can you grab carnival?
Grab that other carnival.
Yeah, grab
JD
the other
Vance and bring
guy.
him with you.
Nobody go near JD Vance. I knew he seems a bit shady, like a very prominent brow and like dark eyes, but I didn't realize he was an assassin. So JD Vance visited with the Pope and then he died the next day. So coincidence?
JD Vance was there on Sunday.
Yeah. And then he died.
The ruiner of all things. The ruiner of the sports statues and the Pope.
Stop calling it a sports statue. Why do you mock me?
There's actually no way I'm ever going to call it anything else. I have to write it down to make sure that my brain will remember it. Sports statue.
It's so funny. It's exactly what it is, though.
I mean, it is. It really is.
I think. So the conclave happens in the Sistine Chapel. You may remember the Sistine Chapel from painted ceiling fame.
Yeah.
So
Did one of the Ninja Turtles paint it?
Monticello is what I have in my notes, but I think it was Michelangelo.
Okay. That's why I thought it was a Ninja Turtle.
It was, yeah, Michelangelo. He was the surfer guy, right? The surfer turtle.
I mean, he could do a lot of flipping, so I feel like he was just flipping all over the place in paint. Go on. It's not even
Did
funny.
they all like pizza?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't
they were
even
all
listening
into the pizza.
So one of the key selection criteria is only cardinals under the age of 80 can vote, and there's usually around 120 of them. So don't we have a cardinal in Pittsburgh? Don't we have a cardinal? I feel like we do.
Zubik?
Zubik?
Is that
he a cardinal?
Is a bishop and a cardinal the same thing? What's a bishop?
No,
and a
they're
cardinal?
different. They're different. You got to get the promo. Bishops wear like white hats maybe, and cardinals wear red ones.
I don't.
The good thing about this is there will be no listeners that know more about this than I do.
There might be. We might get a whole education on it after this. Not that anybody fucking emails us anymore, but okay.
So, did you know that the papal ring gets destroyed? Like they take it off of his cold, dead hands and they destroy it so that no one can, so there's no pope now. No one can pretend to be the pope. There's no like sub pope, there's no interim pope. The body lies in 3 coffins, and I don't know if they like switch it out. Like, I don't know what the process is there, but one is of cypress wood, one is of lead, and one is of elm wood. I have no idea why, but I
I
guess they
saw him in
switch
the
him
one he's
around.
in now. The one he's in now is a very simple wooden coffin.
Maybe it's
Um,
the cypress wood. Yeah.
they said that's what he requested though, but I don't, maybe I wasn't
Wait.
listening. Maybe it was just his tombstone that they were talking about. He requested very simple with just one word on it that I believe is his name in Italian or something. I don't know. Anyway,
What is it? Well, his name
he
in
was a
Italian
simple
is
man.
Francis.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
no.
No, it's something fancy.
Right.
It was something fancy that Michael Strahan told me this morning.
Michael Strahan pontificating about the pontiff
Yeah, he
makes
knows it
me
all.
makes
I
me
love
laugh.
it.
The cardinals, like when it's time for the conclave after the lying in state, they have a procession. So they have a little Pope parade to get into the Sistine Chapel, and they do some chanting to invoke divine guidance so that God can help them pick the new Pope. And they have a master of ceremonies, a master of ceremonies. They have an MC. Like one of the cardinals is, I'll do it. I did open mic. I can be the master of ceremonies. And then they all go in there, and the master of ceremonies calls out everyone out in Latin to make it official. And then they lock the doors from the outside, and then none of them can leave until they picked a new pope. There you go. They take an oath of secrecy, which there's a whole oath they have to say to each other because no one else is going to hear it because they're in
Yeah.
there. The ballots are handwritten, and they have to disguise their handwriting so it's completely anonymous.
Okay, can we back up 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to talk about the parade.
I'm sorry, we're still back on the parade of the Pope parade.
I was trying to interrupt you, but you wouldn't call on me, and I didn't want to speak out of turn.
Oh, because I'm not looking at the video. I'm looking at my
Well,
notes.
you'll have to watch this on YouTube and me going like this.
Sorry, now I'm looking at you.
Anyway, so if we could go back to the parade, it's the parade of the Cardinals.
Yeah,
And
Cardinal Parade. Yeah.
And there are 120 of them.
Yeah.
And they're probably between the ages of
I don't know.
something and 80.
Yeah,
Are they
you
all
got it.
walking? Is it a walking parade, or are they going to all be in this little
No,
glass
you
casing?
don't get the glass case until you're the Pope. I
Okay,
imagine
all
they're
right.
just wandering around in their robes. Alpha Sig
feel
did
like-
something similar when I was at Bethany College to
I
pick
feel
their
like that's
president.
it's a lot of walking for those guys. It's a lot. And then disguising your handwriting. I also feel at that older age, it's
No need. No need,
everybody's
fellas.
shaking. It doesn't, shit's all over the place.
And they have, like, when they vote, it's very prescriptive according to dogma. So their ballots are handwritten, and every ballot has iligo in summum pontifice. I elect as supreme pontiff. I had French. You had Latin.
Which is super funny.
Right. Each ballot is folded twice, and placed on a small silver plate.
I like
and
that.
then dropped into a chalice, which I'm assuming doesn't have any liquid in it because it would defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
After voting, the ballots are counted and then they're stitched together.
Oh, wow.
So they have someone in there. In addition to a former stand-up comedian who's the master of ceremonies, they have a seamstress in there with them.
Wait, who do we think should be the master of ceremonies?
There was one funny pope. Like they were doing this. I forget if it was like before the guy resigned or after, but there was one cardinal that was he was just a crack up. And I forget which one he was.
It should be a legit comedian like Bert Kreischer.
No, you
I feel
can't
like it
unleash
should
him.
be.
No.
I feel like that would be, I feel like they would laugh at him. If anybody's going to make that group laugh, it's going to be Bert.
Nate Bargatze.
I like him too.
He's so wholesome. Like I think the Cardinals would be like, yeah, sad man.
Yeah, no, but Bert would come in
machine.
with the shock factor.
You
I
want
like the machine. Yeah, absolutely.
He could tell them about his children and their special needs.
Absolutely, and sticking their fingers in the dog's butt.
So that was ours first. So they stitch the ballots together and then they catch them on fire. And then special chemicals are added to the ballot fire that produce either black smoke or white smoke. So to get the black smoke, they burn damp straw with potassium nitrate and anthracene. I don't know what anthracene is, and I don't know where you get potassium nitrate. Do you go to your chem lab like on the way in?
Who's pouring that? Do they have masks on to make sure? Because I feel like nobody should be inhaling anything with names like that.
They're God's chosen disciples. I don't think they're going to need to wear masks. They're fine.
If you say so.
Walked on water, water to wine. I think he's not going to
That
let
was
anything
Jesus.
happen
That
to these
wasn't the
guys.
Cardinals.
But I'm under the protection of Jesus.
I don't think so.
So
Proceed.
the white smoke says, yeah, look at us. We got the Pope. The black smoke says, no, we don't. No, we don't have the Pope. They need 2/3 of all of the cardinals to vote. I forgot the most intriguing thing about their oath of secrecy, that if they break that oath, it can lead to automatic excommunication from the Catholic Church. So
I feel like that's not hard, really.
fuck around and find out,
I
cardinals.
feel like people fuck around and find out all the time. But when you said like you started X,
Cardinals.
I thought it was X. What's the word?
Extradition, extermination.
Executed.
No, we don't
I was like, wow, that
Just-
that is intense.
So once they pick one of these guys, like the one who molested the least amount of boys, maybe is the way to pick. I don't know.
Not nice. That went too far. You went too far.
The newly elected agree to disagree. The newly elected Pope enters a side chamber, and it has white vestments in all sizes in case we get a fat Pope or a skinny Pope.
Is a vestment a vest?
It's close. It's a robe thing that they wear. The thing that he puts it over is like a red dress. I don't know. In all sizes, I think is the thing they key in on.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Little
that.
teeny Pope. Like you could have a big Pope, you could have a little Pope.
However, I would like to see the opposite. Like I would like to see the
Fat guy in a
fat
little
Pope
coat.
and a little and a
Fat Pope in a little robe.
yeah, that's what I want to see.
My God. And the room where he dresses himself in his fancy new outfit, that is called the Room of Tears. It's the Room of Tears. And it's because many popes have wept here, overwhelmed by the burden they're about to take on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I will also remind you that throughout history, these were some of the most bloodthirsty motherfuckers ever.
Oh, okay.
Not all of them cry because it's a burden.
Yeah.
So it's the Room of Tears.
I don't know much about the history of the popehood.
It's fascinating.
I was Catholic for a little while.
You grew up Catholic.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't
I was
matter.
blonde for a little while.
Doesn't
And then
matter.
they make a big announcement, and the new Pope steps out, gives a blessing, says a few words. His first appearance, this is what Chad is telling me, his first appearance is both sacred and historic and is watched by hundreds of millions of people, like the Queen.
Absolutely. It's like almost as many people that watch Meghan and Harry's wedding.
And that listen to this podcast. Since 2005, the bells of St. Peter's are rung to confirm a successful election. In case the smoke is hard to tell if it's black or white. Just a little bit of a confirmation so people don't go around like the one gender reveal party we went to.
I was just going to say, this is reminding me of a bad gender reveal.
I was like, is it a blue baby? What? It
Why
looks
is it
green.
gray? I don't understand. Are they just
What?
kidding and they don't want to know? So they just gave us the green bomb? I don't get it.
So there you go. That's the scuttlebutt over what's going to happen here in a couple of days. Can you imagine getting locked in with a bunch of people trying to pick out like the next head cheerleader?
No.
Imagine any organization you've been in and they take the 4 most popular people in the soccer mom booster club and they're like, you guys have to elect the next president. You can't come out until 3 of you agree.
I could see how that would go. We'd be done pretty quick.
All right. Now,
I would threaten to beat people up.
but they're cardinals. They can't do that. I guess bloodthirsty motherfucker.
At the boosters meeting.
Yeah, I don't know how your boosters meetings go.
Yeah, no, somebody
It's like-
volunteers for shit.
Sometimes it's just like hot potato in those things, though. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine even better than this. Imagine the Delta Zetas and like only the popular Delta Zetas get locked in a room and they have to pick the next president or social.
I would not be in that room. Me. I was not the most popular. just in case you were
Um,
wondering. I was in my pledge class. I was the president, but it's only because I organized people because I can't
um,
stand unorganization.
Becca's mom and I both would have been in the room. We're
Right?
mostly due to boob size.
Yeah. You were also there for 4 whole years. Like I was there for a semester as a Delta Zeta, and nobody even remembers me. It's fine.
I forgot that the Pope has to pick a new name. Like he gets to change his
Yeah,
name.
I knew
Like
that.
one of the most fascinating parts is he
It's
just picks
kind of like Latin class or French class where you can pick
right.
your name.
What was your name in Latin class?
Couldn't tell ya. Puella, which means girl. No, Anastasia. That's what it was.
I was Christine
Yeah.
in French. She didn't let me pick. Like everyone else got to pick. She was like, "Oh, you should be Christine," and because I am who I am, I'm like, "Yeah, I should."
Okay. No,
because that's the right answer.
Everybody else gets to be someone different here. Why can't I?
She's because you're gonna be up front answering all the questions, so you're just
like
Christine.
I don't like.
So there you go. That's the Pope.
I like it. Yeah, I guess that's what we'll be hearing about for the next month.
Do you want to tell a very brief growing up Gaster story?
What do you have in mind?
Do you remember when we went to St. Michael's Catholic School?
Yes, that was my last go round with Catholicism.
Flirtation with the Catholic Church.
Yes.
And we would have to go to Mass on maybe Wednesdays,
Fridays.
Or during Lent, we would go to Stations of the Cross. And
I love the
really
Stations of the Cross.
dug. I don't know why, because I think like all the classes were shorter, so we couldn't do anything on Fridays because we had to go to Stations of the Cross like right after lunch.
I just thought they were real cool. And like the older
It's like a
classes got to
play.
be like the actors in them. I got to be the one that wipes his face. Who was that? And what station? I don't remember.
It's Station 8.
But his face is on the
Mrs. Turin, Shroud of Turin.
Who was really artsy. I can't remember who it was.
Shaner. Mrs. Shaner?
Yeah, was she 4th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade?
Fourth grade, a rounder lady.
Yeah, exactly.
White hair.
Her. Yeah, she was a very talented artist.
She was,
yes.
She
made his face on the cloth that I had to wipe him with. It was fun. I do love the Stations of the Cross, and I think it's because it's artsy.
Yeah, it was a hoot. I liked it because we got to change place, like we got to be someplace different.
Yeah.
I was like, this is fun. Look where we are. We're in church. And then we had to sit there in church, and I was like,
you're like, "Ooh, this was fun while I was walking over to the church."
Ow,
now that I'm sitting here,
the cross kind of
long.
Now I know why we have to leave right after lunch.
Like, going so long.
Forever.
Is it 12 of them? Are there 12 stations?
I don't know.
Of the cross?
I can't even remember.
I'm feeling bad about it. I want to go next year now.
I would love to go. Anyway. So our Gaster story of the week is about your mom, Nita.
Your mom. No, your mom.
Your mom. It's about our mom, and she would come to Mass when we would have children's Mass, and she would sit in the back and we would sing hymns, and for some reason, like one time she cried. I'm guessing she was just having a really bad existential crisis because she had to raise the two of us, and she was married to Jumbo, and she was questioning
crying every day,
every decision she ever made. And I'm free in the daytime during the week to come to Mass.
Yeah.
So that's probably why she was crying. But we looked over, and like the girls in my class, the Jennifers, Jen Tarl, Jen Craighead, Jen Neeson, they were like, "Oh, your mom's crying. Oh, it's so cute." And we were like, "Oh," and everyone made a fuss. And we were like, "Look, she's crying because we're singing with such sweet voice." And then she would come to Mass and we would sing, "Let all the little children come to me," or whatever. Children's Mass hymns we would sing. The church is creepy. It just is. Jesus loves the children. So do but Nita would cry.
Churches are creepy.
Nita would cry at these masses, and we were so delighted because we were such special, sweet little angels in the 5th grade that we could make her cry.
Why was she crying?
Seriously, I think it was because she had to raise the two of us, and she was married to Jumbo, and she was free in the middle of the day.
Mom, can you tell us why you were crying? We'd like to know.
Yeah, you can tell us now, for real. I know it wasn't because
I was like paying attention. I don't remember.
Maybe you shouldn't ask her. Maybe you don't want to know the answer.
I do. I want to know.
Maybe if strong-willed children were too much for her.
She did a hell of a job.
Yeah, we turned out amazing. We're doing good things for everybody. Yeah. But
well done, Mom.
Her mom she was like the homeroom mom, so she was there
Mhm.
all the time. All the time. Like she
Her and
participated
Gina
in
Lesha. Mhm.
her and Gina Lesha participated in everything. Like every party, they were handing out snacks. Every science fair, they were directing traffic. Stations of the Cross. I
Yeah.
got to go home with my mom after state. Maybe that's why I
That was
liked
the
it so much.
best part. That was the best
Right.
part of mommy doing everything is we got to leave. We didn't have to ride the bus.
We didn't have to ride the bus. So
Everything we got to
amazing.
just leave with mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Back in
is
the day
my
when you could have just walked out.
and
Anyway.
right. Where I think we lost Isaac Wall the one time where he just walked away. He was at the playground.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have the playground across the street there.
Miss Michelin, which we tortured her. She was our third grade
Oh,
teacher.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she figured out she
We'll
didn't want to
have
be a
her.
teacher after she had us.
Okay, yeah. Sounds right. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, so that's my really brief
All right.
Gaster story of the week. Shall we talk about the book? Shall we get into the
Yeah,
book?
so here's the thing. So I took some notes. I'm annoyed.
Oh no, by this book?
Yeah. So I took some notes and I thought it might be entertaining if I just read the notes. And every once in a while, you could just explain things to me because I
Okay.
think that's what's happening. I think
Okay. I'm ready.
I'm not grasping. I'm too yeah, I don't know what it is. I start here with I need help with this book. I think what's screwing me up is the types of new environments I'm trying to create. Like one minute I'm thinking about how I will start to change my routine to work out every morning and get my shit together. So what does that look like in my mind? So I should be doing that. But I don't know. But after this chapter, I don't fucking know. Maybe I'm just too literal for this book. I feel like I can't understand or I feel like if I can understand how meditating can help me, I should be able to understand this book. So I'm getting a little bit annoyed. Back to the types of environments. This is exactly what I typed. I'm reading it word for word.
Okay.
So,
Is that what you typed? Like maybe once I figure out how to
yeah.
meditate?
No, what I meant there was I didn't say once I figure out how to meditate. What I wrote there was I feel like if I can understand how to meditate that I shouldn't have that much trouble understanding what's in this book. So, anyway, I have my morning routine change and habits in my head, like how I'm going to do that. And then he comes out with the examples of MLK and Gandhi. I'm obviously doing something wrong, right? So then I think I'm way off. But then maybe should I, instead of just talking about my morning routine, should I be thinking about what I want to do when I grow up? Is that the bigger thing? What should I be focusing on?
I think you're making it a little derivative. Like you're like, okay, I just need to think differently about my current immediate environment. And what you really need to think about when we're looking at atomic habits and we're talking about reframing your identity. We're talking about that as an environment. The space I live in isn't this one where I get up and I'm like, fuck, shit, I have 8,000 things to do. Like it's broader and more ethereal. I think like you're wanting it to be amazingly literal. Like you're wanting it to
And that's
be
what I said. I think
my
I'm just too literal, but I just feel like, all right, let me continue on here
so
for a
like
second and then you can take over completely because I'm fucked.
you're fine.
So that's pretty much the beginning. Yada, 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 yada. So then I started going through like things I highlighted. So things I highlighted. The way you think directly affects your life. My note after this is no shit.
Thank you. I'm
Next.
so glad I spent money on the book.
As you
Perfect.
continually think about your problems, you will only create more of the same type of problems for yourself. Okay, so we're
Okay.
talking about dwelling on your problems. Like, I could buy into that. That makes sense there. I get the logic there. Okay. And maybe you think about your problems so much because it was your thinking that created them in the first place. This is where I'm like, I don't like, I feel like maybe is the key word here. But the truer statement would be that you're responsible for how you react to your problems, not that you thought them into existence.
Yes. You are correct.
And that I think that's what's getting on my nerves. And then if I go down a little bit further, in order to change, you must have your thoughts. You must have in your thoughts an idolized self, a model you can emulate, which is different from and better than the you that exists today in your environment, body, and time. So this is where the MLK and Gandhi references come in, and it makes sense to me, like the
Yeah.
where we're going there. It makes sense. And then and external environments are the same when you're continually thinking in the past and based on your memories. Your thoughts determine your reality, and if you keep thinking the same shit, you're going to continue to produce the same reality. Okay, he said so I at this point I'll stop because everything else I read, everything else I write is you just said that in the last sentence. And then 2 sentences down, he says the same thing. And then he says the same thing. And then down here, he says the same thing. So now I'm annoyed to the point where I feel like I'm reading a contract, which I get annoyed with because I feel like lawyers just throw big words out there to make themselves feel smarter. And
Yeah.
that's what I feel like this guy's doing at this point. Like he's just saying the same shit in a different, fancy ass way to make it sound different. But it's literally like this. I feel like the chapter could have been summed up in about 2 sentences.
Yes, 100%. This is a wordy motherfucking book. There
Okay,
are a
yeah,
lot of words, a
yeah,
lot of words. And then the words are repeated. And then there's an example that kind of is what I'm thinking, but isn't really.
yeah.
And then there's another example that's different from it's a bit of a thing. Here is the important point in this chapter, I think. You have to think greater than your environment. And that's what you mean. Like, am I Gandhi? Probably not. Am I MLK? No. Am I a person who accepts the fact that they're 100 pounds overweight and does nothing to fix that? Absolutely not. I am a person who could conceive of a reality where I wasn't 100 pounds overweight. I thought that through. I took some action and I have created a new reality for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like my way of thinking of that, and maybe it's just how we express it, again, back to the words, is that it's your thoughts. What they're actually doing is they're motivating you. Like you have the good thoughts about the greater you and what you can be,
Mhm.
and that's providing
Yeah.
motivation and it's getting you to light a fire under your ass and do something about it. It's
Yeah.
not the thoughts themselves aren't making it happen, aren't actions.
Maybe they are. That's
Really,
the
because if I thought I don't
I'm
feel like
willing.
being 100 pounds overweight anymore. So if I just keep thinking about it, those 100 pounds will go away.
I'm willing. No. I feel like the tapping into the quantum part of this is understanding that even if I'm not taking a direct action on something, like even if I can conceive of a place where I'm a really good leader because I make leader type decisions and I understand what being a really great leader means. I don't have to go into every meeting and be like, okay, what would a good leader do? By thinking about not being a shitty leader, I'm making the reality of being a good leader come into being. Do you know what I mean? I'm moving the needle in some way without
It's like the Hunger
really
Games.
doing anything.
You're
Yeah.
increasing your odds.
Like by thinking about what I want to be and by thinking about how my actions line up with my values, just like all of the other books,
Right.
by understanding and keeping that single thread, like we were talking about last week, when you're envisioning that single thread of what you want to be, by keeping that in mind, you are making subconscious decisions to get there. And the more that you can open your mind to making those subconscious decisions, and the less you need to rely on that pause we talk about all the time,
Yeah.
that's tapping into the quantum piece of it. Like the more
So my
you can
problem
kind
is
of,
being too literal. That's exactly what my problem is.
yeah, yeah. If you think about any skill that you have, right? Like you learned how to drive. That you didn't do that until you were 16. But when you first did it, you were like, all right, don't wreck, don't wreck, don't
Yeah.
wreck, don't wreck. Stay in the lane. Okay, subtle movements with the wheel. And then 3 years later, you've got one foot out the window, you're smoking, eating a hamburger,
Amen.
pissing with the CDs
Yeah.
because you
Looking in your rearview mirror and thinking, did I go through that? Was I red? Was that
what
red when I was? I
did
don't
I
even
run
remember
over
going
an
through
animal?
that. Where? Jesus, where
How
have I
did I
been?
get
Where am I?
here? And it like you became a driver because and
That
that's
makes sense.
that's like an easy example where you didn't really have to put any effort into it. You didn't have to keep your eye on the prize, so to speak. But if you can keep your eye on the prize, if you can focus on that one thread that you want to become reality out of all of the options, that are out there, then you make decisions that are in tune with that. The longer, the more you focus on changing your brain, like meditation, and the more you focus on, like, when you're first driving, you're all like this, right? You're like a tiny little sphincter that is
I
clenched
was
up
gonna
so
say, is
tight.
that my butthole?
That is your butthole. You're so tight, right? You're like, okay, all right, don't be a driver. And then once you go through the process of learning, and once you go through some of the things that make you a driver, then you're able to relax and become a driver. And same thing if you want to be an athlete, right? You're like, okay, I got to concentrate on getting up every day at 5:30. I got to get up at 5:30 until you're the person that gets up at 5:30, until you're the person who like subconsciously chooses good fruits instead of an
So
emotional support bowl of candy.
then that brings me to, so those are like the atomic habits. Like
Yeah.
you're doing these things because you've done them. But doesn't he say in this chapter that's not what you should do?
It's a mental rehearsal is what you're going through. Like you're going
Then,
through.
like when he says we remained plugged into the past by following highly routine, unconscious set of automatic behaviors. And when he's talking about plugged into the past, he's
Right.
not saying that's a positive thing.
No, you want to be plugged into the future. So it's saying which thing to do by rote, which thing to do on autopilot. If I leave my brain right now on autopilot, I'm going to sleep in until 5 minutes before my first meeting tomorrow and pop up out of bed. Like I'll do that by
Okay.
rote. Do you know what I mean? Where I want to
Yeah, I
get
just think
to
it's,
is
I don't know. I think
you're
it just drives me nuts that you're saying, like you've said 1,000 times in this chapter, that basically you're just living in the past and that's why you can't make any changes because you're
right.
just living in the past. And you've gotten into this because you're just a routine person. You're waking up and you roll over and you look at your partner and you know that's your husband. That's because that's what you've looked at every morning for the past 20 years, whatever. Or, and that's not necessarily what you want to do, but then in the same breath, that's what you want to do. So it's just you have to make the better choices of what you are going to plug yourself into.
Think about whether or not you want to be connected to the past, or whether or not you want to be connected to a potential future.
And that it might be my problem is just I think he's saying the same thing that Michael Gervais said
Yeah.
and the same thing that Mark Manson said. And I just like the way that Mark Manson and Michael Gervais said it better
Right.
because
Stop
they
being
didn't
the
say too many fancy words and throw a bunch of other words in there for filler.
But this is giving you a potential way to do it that isn't just do the habits. Let's see what we can do if we're using meditation as a tool to change where we're connecting inside of our brains. Let's use meditation as a tool to help us not focus on the past, but focus on where we want to go. Stop being the victim of your environment, which is
Mhm.
exactly what every book has told us in the past,
Yeah.
right? Take responsibility and use the tools that you have, like meditation, like atomic habits, and however you can get yourself out of that rote dependency on the past. That's how you're going to move forward into the future. So it isn't so much about that's it. There's the period, end of story. It's how do we do it? And how do we tap into maybe that quantum piece of it? And how do we help our brains get to the point where we're able to like unclench our asshole and not think about going to the gym every day and just go to the gym every day? I think that's where the meditation part comes in, where I'm not
Yeah.
plugged into the past, I'm plugged into what I want and aligning my values with my actions. Where my value right now is going to be fit. I don't want to be a lazy slug who gets out of breath when they walk up the stairs. That's my value. And I need to align my actions with that value. And I can't be like, oh, I have a bad knee. All right, figure a way around it. Tap into what you have.
That's what you were doing last week when you were working a lot, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I was tapping into the old rote way of how to get a little bit of satisfaction out of my life. This feels nice. This is like putting on a nice, ooh, I didn't even think about that, but holy shit. If you want a good example, that's why I worked like that. Because I get a little hit of dopamine when someone's, look how hard you work. Look at you staying up all night. Aren't you a special, pretty little princess? Where
But
that's
then
not,
isn't that like you chose to change your value there for a little while
yeah.
inadvertently?
Looking at aligning actions and values is it's complicated, right? Like I was able to get away with it in my I'm like, no, I'm helping the team. This has to be done. It has to be done. Right. So I think on some level that I'm aligning my values with my actions. Right. There's some little nugget for me to like nibble on. I'm like, no, what I'm doing is perfectly valid. But really, what I'm doing is just falling back into old behaviors because they're giving me the same little bit of dopamine that I would get when I was doing that on the regular. Do you know what I mean? And then looking at your advice, looking at the therapist's advice, looking at your dad's advice, listening to David and Olivia, I'm like, yeah, these actions don't align with my values. So make a change. Don't stop being the victim of your environment and figure a way forward through whatever it is that is causing this. You don't need to be the hero. No one gives a shit about you. Turn it over to your team, delegate your authority, and get your
Your
shit lined
authority.
up get your actions lined up with your values.
So is that what's happened in the last week?
Yeah.
Were you
I
able to
mean,
do that?
yeah, and that's what I was talking about when I understand that this isn't the way to a healthy lifestyle. This isn't the way to be the person that I want to be, which is a chill, relaxed person who's able to address a crisis when it comes up. This is me just gutting out the work and not being smart about what we're doing. This is me just taking like the easy path and the one that's going to get me a lot of kudos and being able to recognize that and say, all right, that this isn't right. I can still do what we need to do, which is help the team, but the way to do that is to delegate, is to line up resources, to make things work and put some things in place, and that just took a little bit of time.
So now that you've done that, you're feeling better.
Yeah, I feel amazing.
But
I feel a
did you
little
do that or
anxious.
did you finish your project?
The project's not technically over. We just got through like one of the hard parts, but some of the work that went into getting us over the hard part will lend itself to turning that over to the team and doing things the right way. If we hadn't had that hurdle, if we hadn't had that deliverable, then it would have been harder to mark a spot where I would turn it over. Do you know what I mean? But that deliverable made the line in the sand easier to draw for me and for the rest of the team. Hey, I'm going to get us up to here. I'm going to give you guys tools and then I'm out. I think
That's
that
where
that
you
is
are
a
now.
yeah, and I think that's a really good example of not being the victim of my environment. I could have continued saying, woe is me, this project is so hard. But instead, I decided that I didn't like that. I don't like not sleeping. I like it in the way that everyone's, oh, but I don't like that enough. That isn't my value. That's not going to be my jam. I would rather have a nice, calm existence. And
Are you sleeping better?
yeah, like a fucking baby.
There we go. Good. Sleeping like a baby is my favorite.
Yes, and I am not constantly looking for the next hit of caffeine, so
Oh,
also
that's
good.
good. Yeah.
Also, Becca, just write that down. So I think that is an excellent illustration, even though I didn't plan to get into that. But lining up your actions with your values and being able to focus on who you want to be versus who you were in the past. That is 100%
Yeah.
what this chapter's about.
So it's about the same shit we read about before.
But with the idea that there is the possibility that you're going to be able to tap into some like subatomic process. So these are subatomic habits. Mic drop. We're done.
I feel like we talked about all of it. But we will keep going because, like I said before,
Yeah.
I want to get to the end of this book. I want to get to part 3. And I just had a bad week reading. A lot
Yeah,
of
and I think looking at this is the beginning. Begin to shape your inner world without relying on external validation. Stop leaning on the past. Stop looking for someone to tell you that you're doing a good job, Christine, because no one really cares. Stop being the victim and decide on a future, focus on it, and don't be deterred by doing
don't
the
be a
easy thing.
turd.
Don't be deterred. Don't fall into the trap of wrapping that warm, fuzzy robe around you because you've worn it for so long. Me too. Me too. If there was anything nicer than doing programming at 3 o'clock in the morning and being all blurry eyed and being able to like, oh, just stayed up all night again. Fuzzy robe of comfort for me where I don't have to think too hard or delegate or figure any hard problems out. I can just code.
Just
Pussy.
go to tell everybody about it the next day.
What
And
a
they can tell me
gigantic
how awesome I
vagina I
am.
am. Right. So do the hard thing. Again, it's supposed to be hard. Like it wasn't the easiest thing and it wasn't the quickest thing to be able to turn that work over. And I know everyone was frustrated And I was frustrated with myself that it took as long as it did.
But you got her done. It ended up being a great intertwining of things today, so it worked out well.
Yeah. And I
It
think that's all.
benefited me, which is all I ever look for.
We talked about the Pope. We got bonfires of
Yeah,
choices.
there you go.
Another big theme of this chapter is your personality creates your personal reality. If you are negative, if you are, and I'm not saying like Ted Lasso over the top positive, what I am
Yeah.
saying is think about being that person who looks forward. Think about being the person that solves the problem. Think about being the person that is looking for something different. And if you can align that personality, if you can get those neurons firing at the same time you're making good choices, then that's how you get to unclench your butthole.
I love it. I love unclenching my butthole. And I
So
love
there
the
you go.
fact that you're probably going to carry us through this whole book. But we do have a little bit of a break because next week we are going to be interviewing Lynn Harris, the first like real celebrity to be on the podcast.
Right. We're big
She's
time,
legit.
folks.
She's a legit like real celebrity. Google her. She has a fucking Wikipedia page. I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I'm going to mention it until it airs, until it drops, until we release it, whatever. So that's what we get to do next week. Yay.
Yay. I'm
I
going to
think
keep
that's it
reading
for
because
today,
I
though.
love this book. Awesome.
I think that's so funny because last week you really didn't love this book.
No, I was annoyed. I was like, this fucking whack job. But I can see how maybe taking another step in this journey is where we're supposed to go. I think it might have to do with me also being just a little bit more chill and getting some sleep.
Is that why you didn't let them too? Because
That might be
anything
because I was like,
you really hated that one. And I don't think you really hated it because it's all the same shit.
it's all the same shit. Awesome. All right, I'm going to hang up because I got to go to yoga
Oh, that's
again.
right. Okay, sounds good. Love you. Bye.
Namaste.
That too.